Welcome to the Learning Reinvented podcast, brought to you by myself, Katie Godden.
And James Bolatulo from The Learning Effect. There are lots of learning podcasts out there, so we wanted to do something slightly different. This episode is part of a series which will help guide you through your next learning tech purchase.
These episodes are designed to help you through your learning tech journey, from preparing to attend trade shows such as Learning Technologies, through to finding the right supplies, making the right decisions, and then ultimately how you embed and ensure your learning tech purchase is a success for your business. In this episode, we'll be helping you prepare for attending a learning trade show.
Katie, you're going to talk us through and give us some top tips as to how you should prepare, what you should do on the day and what you should do afterwards, etc. Do you want to give our listeners a bit of an intro to yourself and your background and experience of learning technologies?
Yeah, so I'm Katie. Hi, everyone. I've worked in learning for over 10 years now, and that learning career has kind of always been around learning technology. So I initially started off at a learning tech company which sold learning content and assessments. Then I moved into the retail industry, where I worked internally within teams and managed the learning tech side of things there. Then moved into FMCG doing a similar thing, and then we set up the Learning Effect, where we help customers with learning tech at the kind of heart of what we do.
So let's go back to basics then for anyone tuning into this. What is the Learning Technologies exhibition or event?
So Learning Technologies is one of the world's biggest learning conferences, and you've got the free exhibition side of it. So the conference side of things, you've got lots of different talks, etc., around multiple subjects that around learning, obviously. And that side of things you pay for to attend. But then you've got the free exhibition side of things, where you've got over 200 suppliers that are demoing their products. And that's free for you to attend, and you can kind of go around that as you wish.
So for those who are new to the Learning Technologies exhibition, what will they experience if they attend the exhibition itself?
So like I mentioned, you've got over 200 suppliers in the exhibition side of things. So you've got the stands themselves, which are varying in different sizes and offering different things, but predominantly kind of demo side of things. You've got talks that are in the exhibition halls as well, which are generally from the suppliers, and kind of sometimes you have their key customers, etc., that are there as well, and they'll be talking on different subjects, so you can catch those throughout the 2 days. You get lots of freebies from the different stands that you go to as well. So yeah, it can get a little bit overwhelming because you've got so many people there.
So walking into an exhibition that's got 200 plus stands, as you've said, and lots of razzmatazz and gizmos, and people offering you freebies, and apart from stocking up on new pencils and notebooks, what preparation should people be doing to make sure they get the most out of the day?
I think the really important one is to really understand why you're going to learning tech in the first place. Like we said, that there's over 200 people there, and it can get overwhelming because you don't really know where to start. So make sure you're looking at the brochure before you go. Really understand why you're going. So are you going because you need to replace a bit of learning tech? Are you going because you're more of a new company that's introducing learning tech for the first time? Are you looking for different technologies to kind of fit in with any existing technology you've got at the moment? So really understanding that will help you kind of guide you to the right place. And I think it's making a note of those suppliers that you do want to see, and making sure that you go to those ones as well. Otherwise, you're going to be spending a lot of time walking around all day, and it can get a bit confusing then.
And without a plan, it is very easy to spend your time wandering around, following the crowd, getting drawn into different suppliers, either because of the razzmatazz on the stand or just because they happen to have no one in front of them and they strike up a conversation with you. But that's not really the best way of approaching the event. Katie, in terms of your experience, how would you use learning tech as part of your approach to having the right technology in place, having the right learning strategy? What would you and your teams use it for?
I think we generally go there to look at new technology that's on the market. So we'd try and find kind of the newer suppliers that are out there. I've not attended Learning Tech with the purpose of actually looking for new Learning Tech before. We've always had existing Learning Tech that's already in place, but we have looked at different ways about enhancing that learning technology with other technology. So that's why I predominantly use Learning Tech in the past when I've been internal. However, when like you and I have been before as well, it's again looking at who's new on the market, what new ideas are out there, and kind of getting a whole feel for the learning tech in general, and keeping up to date with that market as well.
We've talked in the past about potentially some dangers or pitfalls you can fall into in an event like Learning Tech, because there's lots going on. You might miss something that's relevant to you. What are the other challenges of going to that event?
With so many suppliers there, it can get overwhelming. So you really need to understand why you're going in the first place. I think that's the key point of before you attend. So you've got that list, whether that's written down, it's in your head, but you have an idea of what you're looking out for. And then it's avoiding kind of like the bells and whistles parts to the systems, because all the suppliers are going to say that their system's the best system and it's going to work well for you. But you need to make sure you've got that list in your mind so you can tick off your list, so you're not just going along with the coolest features and benefits that are kind of the latest trend that are there as well. The demos aren't going to be the best demos. They've got a short space of time while they're there. There's hundreds of people there as well, so I think the demos aren't going to be they're not going to be personalized to you. They'll be able to tick off a couple of bits if you're asking specific questions, but they're going to be pretty generic. But make sure you're making a note of the suppliers that interest you, so you can contact them again and you can get kind of that more personalized demonstration, and you get sandboxes, etc., to kind of work your way through those as well. The suppliers have been there all day as well, so and then obviously they're there for 2 days too, so they are going to get tired, so they are going to potentially forget things or not perhaps give you kind of the greatest demo, etc. So I think it's just having those things in mind before you attend, so you're aware of that. But it's a good event to kind of get an overview of things and a kind of starting point to where you want to start your search, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's having all those things in mind so you don't necessarily write someone off because of something that's not actually material to the solution you might be looking at. So it could be in some of the suppliers, they don't have a huge team and normally one person does all the demos, but they've got a team of 5 or 6 there. So you're getting a demo from someone who's maybe that isn't their day job, or it could be you're on another supplier and actually they're really slick at the demo, but they don't really know the answers on the product behind. So again, bear those things in mind when you're talking to people at the exhibitions. Think about the things that are really important to you and ask questions that are relevant to you. But bear in mind, if that person isn't au fait with that platform in the depth that they need to be to answer that in-depth question, you can't necessarily write them off, which I think is one of the challenges of attending something like Learning Tech, is you're only going to get that superficial view. And this is about narrowing down and piquing interest to then have follow-up conversations. So with that in mind, Katie, what should people do after the event?
So whilst you're at the event, I think you really need to start making notes and making sure that you're capturing the people that you want to go back and see. And I think this is really important after the event as well. So you're capturing all your thoughts, so you can then contact the right people as well. Without that, it can get a little bit confusing and you might not remember who you want to contact or what system does what. So I think get your thoughts down as soon as possible, and that will help you going forward and help you contact the right people, etc. And make sure you've got kind of plans in place as well. So you might want to follow up with different conversations. You might ask for demos, but all linking back to those original key points that you've got of why you're purchasing the new system as well. You might do some of that whilst you're there with the suppliers anyway, and you might set up conversations or calls. But predominantly with Learning Tech, this is generally done after that as well, because there's so many people there and it is quite difficult to kind of liaise and get that all set up.
And you mentioned earlier about the energy levels of suppliers because they're there for 2 days. I think it's also bear in mind your own energy levels, because you go in, have an intense demo, rock on to the next stand, have another intense demo. I think building in breaks in your own day, an opportunity to reflect, capture a few notes, have a coffee, tea, whatever, breath of fresh air, walk away, just so that you can return to each of those demos in a way that you can concentrate, you can capture notes, you can ask sensible questions. Because I know I've been there myself, and you're rolling through, it's right, I can't remember, was that stand that's slightly blue that did that, or that one there? So it's really easy to fall into that trap of going and almost wasting your time because you're not managing your energy level or taking the right amount of notes. So that's something I definitely encourage people to do. And if you do have questions, or if you do want to sort of bounce things past someone who's impartial, then get in touch with us. We can, test your assumptions, help you focus down your questions, help you narrow down suppliers if you're feeling confused.
I think managing your energy levels are a really, really good point, because I think we're all going to feel pretty knackered after the first day.
And then there's lots of social aspects to learning tech as well, whether that's catching up with colleagues you've worked with in the past, suppliers you've worked with in the past, etc. Or there'll be a number of events hosted by suppliers on the evening of the first day. So if you're there on the first day, again, use your time wisely to decide which of those events you might want to attend, both to find out more, but also which event appeals to you most as well.
Thank you for listening to this episode. We will be sharing more tips over the coming weeks.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Learning Reinvented podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. If you've not already done so, please follow our podcast. And if the learning effect can help you and your organisation, please do get in touch. You can find both James and Katie on LinkedIn, and our contact details are in the show notes below.